because I think the blame's going to be put on him. It should be.
I now call this meeting of the Cranston City Council to order. At this time, please turn off your cell phones. Clerk, please take the roll.
Present.
Here.
Present.
Present.
Here. Present. Present.
Present. Is there a motion to dispense with the readings of the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public acknowledgements and commendations. Are there any public acknowledgements or commendations?
I have none.
None. Public hearings. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on any docketed item? Hearing none. Close the public hearing section. Resolutions. Resolution instituting proceedings for a public hearing for abandonment of a portion of Malvern Street. Petition filed through Charles Caruso. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion? Councilman Stichels.
This is in my ward, and I'm not in support of it, but I think instituting the proceedings is fine. I have asked the city solicitor to investigate whether the portion of Malvern Street could be leased to this business, which is an auto repair and auto sales business on Warwick Avenue, instead of abandoning it. And my concern is not with the current business, but if they consolidated lots and made a big lot, the business that we might get in the future. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. I just wanted to let everybody know that was my feelings on it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please take the roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Reports of committee. Ordinance Committee, Chairman Arquette.
Thank you, President Laney. This ordinance committee met and passed several ordinances. First, 9-14-07 ordinance in amendment to Chapter 8.28 Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Property Maintenance Standards, Neglected Premises Violations, Inspection Notices, and Enforcement. And the committee passed this.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk please take the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Next, ordinance 12-14-01, ordinance amendment of Title II, Chapter 64 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Traffic Safety Commission, as amended in committee January 15, 2015. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Stanbrook?
Thank you, Council President. The Director Barone contacted me. He has a concern on some language. I wanted to yield the floor to him if I'm... It's not a big concern, but
Council President, the only concern we had, the expenditure of funds was pretty vague. And we just wanted to know, do you have a, is there any idea what you wanted to expend on this, if any expenses were going to incur?
Council Vice President Santa Maria.
Thank you, Council President. I explained to Director Barone that if we did expend any money, we would have to report it out to the Public Works Committee, to Chairman Aceto, and Chairman Aceto would then probably, I guess, make a recommendation to the administration. I don't see us expending funds. I think this is more of a think tank, but if someone wanted to change the language to make it a little less demanding, I would have no problem with it.
Councilman Aceto.
Yeah, through the chair to Director Barone, I think I agree with Councilor Santa Maria. This is a fact-finding thing, and then obviously if we come through with some improvements that we need to make, obviously we would need a fiscal note, and we would have to find the funding someplace. So it might not be this budget, but it could be the next budget if we came up with some ideas that would definitely work. So, I mean, that was the intent. As I spoke to my colleague, Councilor Santa Maria, I think, it'd be irresponsible for this committee to do something and say, okay, let's go spend the money when we're not budgeted for. So I think, that's a thought process, so you know.
I'm totally agreeing with that. The administration's in agreement with that. It's just that it was vague, and we just wanted to go on record as saying that it wasn't concerned.
Council President?
Council Vice President Santa Maria.
Jeff, 68 and 69, I think, basically say we're going to be submitting reports with recommendations. I think 68 and 69's language covers your concern.
Okay, but that's fine, but that fell under reports and not expenditures.
How about if we do this? How about if we put on line 64, delete expend and put request?
Is that in form of a motion?
I'll move to amend. I'll move to amend and to change paragraph 64 or sentence 64 to read request as opposed to expend such funds.
I'll second that.
Necessary.
All right. Motion been made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilor Corino? Yes. Councilor Stichels?
Yes.
Councilor Barton?
Yes.
Councilor Marquardt?
Yes.
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 Now we have to vote on it.
Now we have to vote on the amended motion. Any discussion on the amended motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Council Vice President Santa Maria.
Council President, I would like to call the first meeting for February 9th. It's a Monday night, just to organize. Most of the people I talked to thought Monday was the best night. We can change the night after that meeting, but February 9th, I checked with the city clerk, the council chambers are available.
Okay, will the city clerk please notify everybody on that list of the meeting on February 9th?
We will.
Anything else in the ordinance committee?
Nothing, Council President.
All right, we'll move on to the finance committee. Chairman Stichels.
Thank you. We have the traditional housekeeping items. I've got it here. The resolution authorizing the real estate tax abatements as recommended by the tax assessor.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilor Corino? Yes. Councilor
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And we have the motor vehicle tax abatements as recommended by the tax assessor.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Next is the waiver of interest on overdue tax payments for certain people due to reasons such as illness. These have been recommended by the city treasurer.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And lastly, the city treasurer is recommending denial of one request for a tax interest waiver, and the committee agrees with the denial.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Moving on to the Claims Committee, Chairman Favecchio.
Thank you, Council President. There's one reported claim settled. That was Anthony Strong through his attorney, James Howe, and it's spelled incorrectly, incidentally, $75,000 for personal injury. And that's all we had on that calendar.
All right, this is informational only.
Yes, it is, Council President.
Any questions to the administration? Hearing none, we'll move on. Public hearings. Any members of the public would like to speak on any undocketed item? Quiet audience tonight. Okay. We'll move on then. The public hearing section is now closed. Election of city officials. Cranston Municipal Court, Kenneth Schreiber appointed as auxiliary judge effective January the 5th, 2015. Is there a motion to reconsider the appointment, which was erroneously stated as associate judge at the inaugural meeting?
Motion to reconsider. Second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes. Yes.
No. Yes.
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 Yes. Is there a motion to appoint Kenneth Schreiber as auxiliary judge?
So, second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes. Yes.
No. Yes.
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 Yes. Juvenile Hearing Board, Christian Aroyan appointed as a member. Term expires December the 1st, 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The Traffic Safety Commission. The appointees are Fred Reisner, appointed by Council President Lanning. Bernadetta Patron, appointed by Vice President Santa Maria. Tom Parada, appointed by Councilman Farina. Mia Petriaca, appointed by Councilman Stikos. Christopher Bonanno, appointed by Councilman Botts. David Schiappo, appointed by Councilman Arquette. Bert Karabitis, appointed by Councilman Aceto. Albert Malikian, appointed by Councilman Favecchio. And Jonathan Keith, appointed by Councilman Paplaskas. Our report of city officers. Standing monthly report of cited properties in the city. This is a request by Councilman Botts. Councilman Botts?
Excuse me. The report is in the link and looks good.
Okay. Any questions from anybody on the council? Would the administration like to say something concerning this?
If those reports that are coming to you monthly, if they're okay, let me know if there needs to be any changes or if you wish to continue or not. Please just advise me.
I think it's worthwhile information to have on a monthly basis, and just from constituent calls or whatever, we know we kind of have something we can refer to.
Okay. And the format is acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Executive communications, report on hiring of special counsel, consultants, etc., pursuant to Charter Section 15.05. Is there any reports from the administration?
No reports, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rawson. Cranston Fire Department, Captain James Dorper, request to be continued in service for 1 year.
Council President.
Councilman Stichels.
Yeah, I just had a question on the legal fees that we got here. The second one says interest arbitration, IBPO. Does that mean that, is that the contract or something else? Where do things stand with the police contract?
Good catch.
Mr. President, can I address that?
Yes, please.
Councilman Stichels, are you referring to August 7th, entry number 2?
Yes, and the also the 13th.
Yes, that is a pending arbitration. It must be regarding the interest issue, and those are fees paid to the AAA, who they are actually the administrators of the arbitration.
Right.
So that's kind of like a filing fee or a continuation fee. Those aren't actually attorney's fees, it's just an administrative fee.
Yes, but my question is, on the police contract, is that to do with the police contract going to interest arbitration?
I think that's a separate specific issue. I'm not the counsel on the IBPO, but I think that's a separate issue from last summer regarding interest as an issue in the arbitration. But that's not necessarily a meeting or a discussion of the case.
So is the contract in our interest arbitration, or is it still being negotiated?
I can't speak to that personally. Oh, Mr. Strong.
Councilman Stichels, yes, that we're still in the process of negotiating. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting next week to continue our negotiations.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council Vice President Sam Maria.
Thank you, Council President. Chris, to the Council President, again, we don't have the hourly rates on the back, which we're supposed to have per charter.
Mr. President, can I address that?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I apologize, Mr. Vice President. Anna's usually pretty good about attaching that last sheet. I'm not going to ever throw Anna under the bus. I can tell you that right now.
You better not.
So if you would like, what I'll do is I can have I will email tomorrow Maria that page with all the rates. I think it is consistent with the rates that were attached last month. Did you get rates last month?
I believe so. I know Partridge, Snow
It's
and
usually
Han.
just attached to the next one.
I'm just looking at Partridge, Snow and Han, and I know they're about $300
Yes.
an hour, and
Yeah.
they got the ice rink now,
Yep.
defined contribution, and the redistricting plan, so.
Yeah, we've negotiated it down to some degree, but we have not gotten them to a point where it is our municipal rate of 100 to 150. I wish it could be less, but we do value the representation on a lot of these issues, and they've decreased it, but not as much as we would like. I agree with you there.
Okay, so you email that to the council?
Absolutely. I will email that. It's going to be one page. I'll make sure it's sent to Maria tomorrow to be circulated to the full council.
Thank you, Council President.
Councilman Aceto.
Yeah, I would just like to follow up, Mr. President, on Councilman Stichos's request. So we knew we had an arbitration for the promotions. So since then, there's been other arbitrations, another one?
I can't speak to that specifically,
Can
but
somebody from the administration speak to that, other than the solicitor? And if so, what is the matter that's being arbitrated?
You can't.
Councilman, can you just repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Sure. As you can tell on the report, Councilman Stichels asked about two arbitrations, I guess, that are showing up there. One of them we know probably was for the promotions. We just don't know what the second was. Is there information on what the second arbitration was or is?
We'll get that to you subsequent to this meeting. Sorry, we just don't have that information handy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the council? We go back to the Cranston Fire Department. Captain James Dauber requested a continuation of service for 1 year. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Under discussion, has he met all the requirements to be continued in service for 1 year?
To the administration?
Mr. President, if I may, Captain Dauber did submit a written request and has provided documentation of his satisfaction of the requirements, and we would recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Councilman Aceto?
Yes, just to the administration again, have they followed up to make sure that information said was proper, because don't want to get into another thing like the police captain that we just did that's coming back to haunt us, so.
Mr. President,
Yes.
as I said, the document appears to be legitimate. It does appear to demonstrate satisfaction of the requirements. There's, at this point, no reason to question the authenticity of the documents.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none. Is there a motion?
There was a motion and
There
a
was.
second.
I made a motion to
The
approve.
second?
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Corino?
Yes.
Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Bott? Yes. Councilman Arriagado?
Yes.
Councilman Seer?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Councilman Mario?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Deputy Chief Stephen McIntosh requests to be continued in service for 1 year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Councilman Farina.
Same issue.
Has Deputy Chief met and received all the necessary qualifications to continue service for 1 year?
Mr. President, Deputy Chief McIntosh has submitted a written request along with the required documentation that appears to demonstrate that he does meet the qualifications, and we would recommend approval.
Any other questions for the administration? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Corino?
Yes.
Councilman Stichels?
Yes.
Councilman Bott?
Yes.
Arriagado?
Yes.
Councilman Seer?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Councilman Mario?
Yes.
Councilman Seer?
Yes.
Yes. Claim settled by the Solicitor's Office, D&H Collision Center, $3,523. Property damage, Moretti, Perlow, and Bonin, law offices. And Rosella Migliaccio, $5,000, personal injury.
No further action needed. That's informational only. Council President communications. I normally don't like to ramble, but we got plenty of time this evening. We're way ahead of schedule, so I will ramble. Number one, I'd like to thank the administration for the excellent job they did on the snow removal in the city because of this blizzard. I think we all can be proud of the work that the DPU did through the administration. Most streets in Cranston are clear, and hopefully be school tomorrow because I'm tired of seeing my granddaughter every day. To ramble on, I noticed that Mr. Coop is here, but he hasn't received advice and consent from this council. I hope the administration will put forward his name by the next council meeting. Also, continue on, the state police had promised us a state police report. Today is almost the end of January. We have not received that report. I have no indication whatsoever what's in the report. Citizens of Cranston deserve that report. This council deserves that report. And I urge the state police to bring it forward as soon as possible. We've been more than patient asking for that report. In a way, I'm kind of disappointed because I expected them to be a little more forthcoming than they have been. Concerning Major Catalano, I don't know what, now I'll ask that to the administration. Has there been any progress whatsoever concerning discussions with Major Catalano concerning the MOU? You can be as vague as you want. Just a yes or a no answer will suffice.
Mr. President, I just want to caution you, just under the Open Records Act, we are discussing something that's actually not listed on the agenda. So I think that can be addressed in a different form. But, and again, I don't mean to be vague or evasive, but there's nothing listed under this section, so I'm reluctant to speak of an issue that's not listed on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Rawson. That's about as vague and evasive as you possibly could get. I appreciate your non-compliance. Third, I noticed on the legal fees, the very last page, $218,000 in lawyer fees the city of Cranston paid. In this report, from July 1st until January 29th, how many trucks does that buy? How many programs does that reinstitute in this city? It's all got to do with police and fire, basically. I hate to criticize lawyers because they usually sue you, but for criticizing them, but there's got to be a better way of doing this. We spend way, way too much money on outside legal fees. We have, I don't know how many solicitors we have. Maybe the administration can tell us, but you can't tell me that the solicitors that we have, that we pay for, can't handle a lot of these fees. You know, we try to be efficient. We've had 2 years without tax increases in this city, and the only way we can keep that going is to by being as efficient as possible. So I expect the administration to take a good hard look at this and see what we can do to lessen these fees. Now the retort from the administration. Please step forward and say what you have to say.
I wanted to bring this up during executive communications. I apologize, but I just wanted to give accolades to the council and Councilman Arquette. During the storm, he had opened up communications with me. We were able to converse on numerous times. I was able to get information to him. Hopefully he was able to pass it on to you, but I just want to tell you that that system that you initiated this year with the liaison from the council to the administration worked well.
Thank you, Director Barone. Mr. Strom, your turn.
Council President, I just want to say 3 years of no tax increase.
Well, 2 years that I've been on the council, my return.
Okay.
I'm shooting for
And we'll try for
3
another.
or 4, depending how you look at it.
And we'll try for another.
Okay.
I'm next, Mr. President.
Oh, step right up.
I do want to address it, Mr. President. We are actually only slightly over budget for the legal fees for the year, given that we have about 4 months left of the budget, 4 to 5 months left. I will say more than half the fees, 33,000 of them are for that ACLU defense that we've spoken about in the executive session, which we do need a specialized lawyer to defend that. And also, Attorney Ragosta, there's been a lot of labor issues this year, and that bill is approaching about 90,000. So, Mr. President, if you look at it, about 55 to 60% are really two basic issues that need to be addressed by outside counsel. So I just want to make that clear out of the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, council member communications, Councilman Arquette.
Thank you, Council President Lanning. I have several little items. First, I'd like to, through the chair to the administration, ask whoever's the Director of Administration or Mr. Barone, what are the plans to address the main walking track for this spring? I know it's almost into February, but people are going to be walking late March, April, and the trees that are growing adjacent to the track, the roots have uprooted the asphalt, and constituents are complaining that they're tripping. So we need to have a long-term plan on how we're going to address this for the spring and summer.
Councilman, I spoke with the Parks and Recreation Director, and he told me that that is in the process of being addressed. It's going to be repaired. He didn't say if they were going to repair the whole track, the entire track, or just the sections where the trees are buckling up. But he is definitely addressing that and going to
So as long as the administration's aware and the Director of Parks and Recreation is aware, your word is good. Thank you. Next, I have a letter. I promised this constituent that I would read his letter into the record this evening. It pertains to an incident that occurred in his neighborhood and the quick response of our police officer. The letter is dated December 8, 2014. It's addressed to Mayor Fung, myself, and Colonel Michael Winquest. And it was written by Kevin B. Murphy, and it's short, and I'll be as brief as I can. Dear Mayor Fung, I would like to bring to your attention the outstanding job that your officers did on the night of November 14, 2014. At approximately 10 p.m., a driver traveling down Humbert Street veered off the road, destroying fences, hitting a parked car that was in my driveway, 59 Garland Avenue. This driver left the scene of the accident. Cranston police were called, and Officer Christine Baldock and Officer Michael Long arrived at the scene. I was out of town during this event, and my daughter, who resides at 62 Garland Avenue, had to deal with this traumatic incident. Officer Baldock kept calm and put everyone at ease. She took all the information, etc., and called that Sunday with follow-up information. Officer Baldock and Long were professional, courteous, and proficient. Many times you are notified about complaints. I wanted to bring to light the positive response and professionalism of these officers. I would like that Officers Baldock and Long are commended on their outstanding police work and professionalism. Sincerely, Kevin B. Murphy, Cranston resident. And I just wanted to read that into the record. My last two things are not on the agenda, but I just wanted to commend the administration on their outstanding plowing job in Ward 3, the hills. I mean, it's one of the best. Considering the conditions and the amount of snow, I think the administration was proactive and prepared and did an excellent job. My only concern is I understand that school was delayed and they didn't open because they didn't plow, or the parking lots of some schools weren't plowed, as Gladstone, Arlington, so on and so forth. And we use city equipment to plow those school buildings. I'm wondering if the administration has any plan to have the school department reimburse the city side. Is there anything in the works right now on that?
I didn't get the part about reimburse.
Okay, my understanding, several schools could not open because parking lots were not plowed. Due to the fact the school department did not have proper equipment, their heavy equipment, and it depended on the city to utilize the city side, to use its heavy equipment to plow out the schools. That's our cost, meaning our manpower, our equipment, not school department equipment. So the expense is on our side of the budget. Is there any plan on having the school side of the budget reimburse the city side of the budget?
I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that the city side, between Parks and Recreation and Building Maintenance, they plow the school buildings. So that's something that's been going on.
I don't think we plow all of them. I don't think we plow all of them.
No, Mr. President?
Councilman Seal, you want to interject?
Yeah, through the chair. Paul, my information told me this, that the school department, when they said that the storm was imminent, it was coming, they didn't keep any extra personnel on hand like they usually do because they didn't want to pay them the overtime to get ready. So as a result of that, the city in its due diligence did as much as they could, but with the amount of snow that came, they just weren't able to get to some of the elementary schools. So based on that, I guess the school department made the decision to take a second day because those schools could have been taken care of because it's a 50-50 partnership. The school department snow blows certain parts of the school and the city takes care of the back. So the 2 or 3 that didn't open, that was the reason for it. It wasn't the city's fault at all. I mean, again.
Right, the school.
When I say the city's fault, I'm saying we ended up plowing them out.
We always do.
At our expense. I don't think we plow all their schools.
Orchard Farms is the only one I don't think is a private vendor.
Councilman, Mr. Strom just told me that any of the private contractors that plow the schools are paid by out of the school budget, not the city budget.
Correct. So we use our equipment to plow them out, city side equipment, not private vendors.
Any private vendor that plows out a school is reimbursed or paid by the school, not by the city.
Correct.
Also, schools were closed prior to us not addressing the plowing issues in the school properties. Because they were not open, we didn't rush there to get that done.
I understand that, but still, my question is being asked. Did we use city equipment to plow out school buildings?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. At our expense,
Yes,
city side expense.
but also in addition to that, we had to bring in subcontractors because there was such an abundance of snow to remove the snow from the parking lots onto our trucks. That was going on all day today, outside here at City Hall, Hamilton Building, Senior Center, and I think it was 2 or 3 schools. Those subcontracts are going to be billing the school directly for the use of those.
They're going to be billing the school department.
The subcontracts will bill the school department directly, not us, the subcontractors.
Okay, what about our equipment and our men?
I don't believe we ever billed the
Could we get a cost on any equipment that we used and manpower that we used?
I will check with our Public Works Department.
that
They're
out?
starting to compile the numbers now.
All right, just find that out and email it when you have it. Thank you.
But also, just to let you know, Councilman, the school does have equipment that they use as well. That we probably assisted them in this particular storm because of the abundance of snow.
Okay.
Councilman, Vice President Santa Maria.
Thank you, Council President. Director Barone, 81 Midvale, the house is going to get raised. I'm guessing it'll probably be done in the springtime, which I have no problem with.
Yes, everyone signed off on that. The only people we're waiting to sign off is the federal government.
Okay, and secondly, the traffic lights at Atwood and Walnut Grove were supposed to be blinking to give the motorists a chance to get used to the configuration.
Not blinking?
They're not blinking as of a few days ago. I haven't been by there.
Are they working?
They still have like garbage bags over them, like
Okay.
those plastic.
There's a process that they go through once the light is hung. Before they blink, they just leave them hung so people can see the light.
Okay.
And then there's a 2-week process that they'll blink for 2 weeks, and then after that, then they'll go to regular operation.
Did they give you a time frame at all, or can you
No,
get?
absolutely.
Not a big issue. And Council President, last thing, I just want to show my sincere appreciation to the job that our people did in plowing the streets. I got 2 phone calls and 1 email, and the idea of going back out the next day and redoing the whole district was very, very popular to a lot of the people, and they got to those problem areas. So I'm not surprised. They always do a good job. I got a call from one of the plowers saying the visibility was like 5 feet. The windshield wipers and his defroster couldn't keep up, and they were still out there. There was no place for them to get food because everything was closed. So I can't thank them enough for the job they did. I think they deserve a round of applause. I know they're not here, but I just think it was...
Gene Bailey's here.
Councilman Box.
Thank you, Council President. I know Councilman Arquette was speaking to Director Barone, it seems like on a constant basis, but I know, I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I know I didn't get any updates during the blizzard. And I even went so far as to ask the administration if it would be worthwhile to send out a status report. So I don't know if in the future, maybe just an email once a day or just something to keep us in the loop on the ongoings of the snow removal. So I don't know if that would be worthwhile or not. The other question I have is just the school snow removal keeps coming up in this venue and other venues in the social media world. And just for my benefit, the city does remove snow from some schools. Do we have a list, or can we get a list of what schools the city does remove snow from for our own benefit? I mean, I'm assuming Cranston East must be one of them.
You know who would know?
Just to answer your question, I mean, because of the Cranston East, this parking lot's the city as well. So yes, we take care of this whole parking lot. We had to bring in subcontractors because of the abundance of snow. We had 4 or 5 of our own trucks driving the snow out today because there would be no parking for tomorrow in many cases, or there would be a real problem parking for both city workers and students and also school administration. My understanding is most of the time, I think there's a couple of schools that we have an arrangement with that we take care of plowing. Most of the time, the school takes care of their own schools and parking. However, with the abundance of snow that occurred in this particular storm, we were more than helpful to the schools to get the job done.
So on a normal, let's say a normal run-of-the-mill
If we get like
snow,
3 or 4 inches of snow,
that would be 2 out of the 26 school properties we would...
yeah. Is that correct, Gene? You would know even better.
I know of Cranston West and Western Hills that we do.
Right.
I believe there's one other.
And then East would be one of them too?
And then Western side.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, this is a combination.
I know there's definitely West and Western Hills.
Okay.
And there's just this parking.
Yeah,
And normally the rest, the school department's on the hook for?
correct.
Okay.
In this particular case, we did assist them as necessary.
Okay. The other question I had, and some from the administration, is I've been getting a lot of inquiries regarding snow removal from sidewalks. You know, I have no qualms about going out and finding businesses or even apartment complexes, rental units that don't clear out their sidewalks. My question is, who would go out, who's responsible for going out and actually inspecting? Would it be the Cranston Police Department? Would it be building inspections? Who would actually go out and do that?
Council President, if I can address it. The Cranston Police Department is the enforcement arm of that ordinance. However, you know, if people call us, constituents call and say, hey, there's a problem at such and such address, we can send the police there. Obviously, we do try to be as aggressive as possible with businesses because, you know, they certainly have the resources. But one thing I would like to make clear, in the 6 years that I've been here, my experience has shown that a lot of the people who don't clear their sidewalk actually have a legitimate reason. They're either elderly, disabled, or there's some condition that prevents them from doing it. So we try to connect them with 211 or some sort of Boy Scout organization or some volunteer organization to try to help out in those situations. And we try to give them as much of a courtesy as possible. But, you know, it's one of those case-by-case basis. So, you know, if the council people are seeing certain areas that aren't being addressed, let us know. We'll look at it, and it may turn out to be that it's a special circumstance there.
Yeah, that's why I kind of led with that. I have no qualms about going for businesses and whatnot. I know in my neighborhood, there are seniors that, matter of fact, across the street, I have a 95-year-old lady that probably can't get out there and lift a shovel, so, you know, helped her out. But, you know, there are, I just going down Pontiac Ave, I can see a number of I know that are rental properties that didn't clear the sidewalk. Right before Rite Aid, there's an apartment complex, I guess you'd call it, that didn't clear their sidewalk. So, I mean, there's certain areas I think that kind of need to be done or enforced. You know, especially with landlords and that type of thing. I know they get income for that, and
If you have repeat offenders like that, just send us an email with a list of them, and we certainly will follow up.
Certainly. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Aceto?
Yeah, through the chair. Director, with all due respect, we don't need to send you a list. If you go by Bain, either in the morning going to school, or in the afternoon, or Weston Hills, or Cranston West, or Peters, you could see how bad the problem is. I mean, tonight, coming by Bain, at least 3 kids were almost killed by a tractor-trailer truck, right at the intersection of where Meatball Mike's is and what other businesses are there. So I understand that we have to have an open mind on some elderly people or whatnot, but there is no excuse. If there's an ordinance on the books, it should be enforced, or there should be a police detail or police there making sure that these kids are getting home okay, because it's terrible. And I know it's a blizzard, and I know it's extra terrible for the blizzard, but, you know, this isn't the first time this council has talked about it. It came up a number of times in the previous council, and it just doesn't seem like, you know, we're doing anything about it as far as enforcement. I know it's the second or third day after the blizzard, you know, fine. In Providence, if you had a business, the rules are within 24 hours of that storm ending, your sidewalk needed to be cleared. If not, you were subject to fine. Now, I don't think ours is that strict, but with all due respect, the safety, we can't lose one child, because the minute we lose somebody, whether a child or an elderly person trying to walk or somebody, you know, it's going to get thrown back into our faces. Thank you.
Like to respond to that, or?
The only thing I can tell you is that, you know, we've got limited resources. We're spread out thin after coming out of this storm. We will get on top of those businesses. And it's funny that you mentioned Meatball Mike's, because obviously you know I live in Knightsville, and I just happened to drive by Meatball Mike's tonight, and there was somebody there with a snowblower tonight. So, you know, we don't, as you know, that building's abandoned, so I don't know who the property people are, but you know, we'll definitely stay on top of things. And like I said, if you see something, let us know as well. I mean, that's a big help.
Okay. Councilman Farina?
Thank you, Council President. Councilman Bott stole a lot of my thunder, but I'll throw it out there. The reason I think he was asking the pointed questions was because members of other committees in the city were basically telling people to call their councilman to get their sidewalk shoveled and their lots plowed in the schools, and it was our fault that there was no school yesterday. That was not the case. The administration did a good job getting rid of the snow, and I thank you. Are we officially done cleaning up all the snow? Close?
The cleanup operations, as far as the city are concerned, are over. As far as the schools are concerned, I can't speak to them because they've got their own thing. But,
They didn't cancel school tomorrow, so they got to be close.
no, there is school tomorrow.
Yeah, so they're close.
Yeah, and as far as our operations, we're back to our normal workday, and our focus now is making sure that we clear up the big piles that are blocking intersections, and also
I have a
drain.
pile. I do have a pile. I have a picture of it in the video. It's actually
I
right
saw
from
it.
my house.
I saw it on your
It's
Facebook.
about 18 feet long, 30 feet wide.
I saw it on your Facebook, and I'll see
Figure
if
if
we
we're
can...
done now, maybe I can try to show for myself.
If we can get that taken care of, we'll try, okay?
Thank you.
Of course.
Councilman Stichels.
A couple things. First, on the sidewalks, I'd like to agree with Councilman Aceto. Every year, every snowstorm, it's CVS, Walgreens, Sovereign, or Santander Bank at the corner of Broad, Norwood, and Warwick Avenue. And we never find them. And this council last year made it very clear that we wanted to find these people, and we, I believe, doubled the fine, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We doubled the fine. So what I would like to see from the administration is a list of who is fined for failing to plow the snow, because just talking to those businesses on that corner, I know that doesn't work, because we do it every year, and every year they've managed to plow their parking lots, but somehow they're not able to do the sidewalks until the police go and visit them. And that's a waste of the police time, as far as I'm concerned. If give them a nice warning the first time, they don't do it, fine them. Okay, then I just sent Jeff an email with those addresses. That was the first item. The second item is for both the city solicitor and the council's attorney. Just a reminder that we have 2 police, retired police, who have come to the council and asked for a resolution. I believe they're both on disability pensions, and we need some legal opinion so we can have a discussion on those and either tell the 2 people that, thank you for trying to get it resolved without a lawsuit and without legal fees, but we don't agree with them, or yes, we think they're right and we should settle it. So I know particularly Mr. Jacob has been waiting a couple of months, and the other fellow's a little more recent. I can't remember his name, but I believe I left the material for the second person in Jerry Cordy's mailbox, so you should have that. And is that something we can get addressed at the next Finance Committee meeting? Question to, I guess, Mr. Rawson.
You don't, Mr. President?
Yes, you can't talk about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, without breaching the other name, can you send an email with the second name for me? But we
Well,
can
I
certainly...
gave the whole packet to Jerry Cordy. I put it in his mailbox after the last time we met.
Well, I haven't seen the package, but I can certainly take a look at it.
But do you remember the name of the officer? It's the guy who wrote to you and then you gave it to me?
Yeah, it'll come to me in a second. Let me think. I can't think of it.
Okay, yeah, we can...
I'll mention it to Mr. Rawson.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to address it as new
All right,
business first.
I'll send you the name, because I have it at home.
Okay, thank you.
And if you don't have, for some reason, if you don't have the material, then let me know and I'll get that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, another brief item. I did recently talk with the Rhode Island Tree Council about the city tree planting program. There are still trees available to plant, and if you remember, we're trying to get them planted between the sidewalk and the house. So the application is on the city's website, and I believe the cutoff is at the end of March. But they have red maples, red oaks, and tulip trees that the city will plant for no fee. That was that item, and that's it. Thank you.
One other question.
Councilman Favecchio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through the chair to the administration, I want to go back to something that was said about the janitors. As I understand it, the janitors were sent home or something. Does anyone have any information on that? Did the schools, I guess my question is, did the schools do their job in terms of their part in the cleanup? Or were they just saving money by sending the janitors home?
Council President, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm a little unclear as to your question, but anything to do with the school department, we would have to check with them because we would have no knowledge of anything that they would do as we're not involved in their day-to-day operations. So I can certainly make a phone call for you and try to clarify that situation, but the administration nor the city have any knowledge as to what that situation is about.
Okay. Any other questions before you go?
Just to clarify, I think what Councilman Favecchio was alluding to is just some type of partnership between the school department and their janitorial service in the city? Is that's your point?
I'm just not sure what I know they're supposed to do the sidewalks in front of the schools or something, and I just...
I think Councilman Stichels, when he was on the school committee, had said something of that nature. Am I correct, Steve, with the janitors?
Well, what I've tried to get done is the playgrounds, there are barrels, trash barrels on the playground that for some unknown reason the city has to drive around and pick up that trash rather than the custodian at the school walk out and pull out the bag and put it in the dumpster. And, I think we should just tell the school department they need to do that.
Councilman Aceto.
I believe it's no agreement or anything, but this has been going on since Mayor Trafficani, where we've plowed some of their facilities, and, they have certain responsibilities, and the city has kind of stepped up to the plate and done some of the bigger work. So I think the issue, Councilman, is that, again, when the store was imminent, I don't believe any of the school personnel were left on premise around the buildings. I think they were all sent home in lieu of the storm, and then by the time the city got out there to do what they were doing, they were kind of behind the 8 ball because some of the people who would normally be there from the school department did start doing their share, and of course because of the snow, obviously here we had to haul it around. So normally it seems to work. It worked. We really didn't get any complaints last year, but to say that it was the city's fault, that the schools had to close a second day is probably the furthest thing from the truth. The city did what we had to do, and it was a big storm, so,
One other question, Council President.
Councilman Favecchio.
One other question, Council President. Thank you. To the administration, on the garbage pickup that was missed, I think I understand. I want to make sure that I understand it for my constituents, but I'm in one of the areas that we'll have to wait till next week. Are they going to pick up? There will obviously be more trash than normal. Are they going to pick up? What are they going to do as far as picking up the extra?
Okay. So just to be clear, and Greg, since you're here from the Journal, you can add this to your article. We are going to pick up the 2 days that were missed this week because of the storm are not going to be made up this week. We're asking those residents to take their garbage back in, hold it for a week, and if they have overflow out of those bins, to bag that trash as they normally would bag trash, put it on the side of the bin when they put their bin out there, and we will make the arrangement to take that extra excess bag trash that we missed because of the storm. However, I want to be clear to residents of the city, this is not a free-for-all to put out couches or other things that normally would not be taken. If you put those things out there, they're going to stay there, and we will start looking to find people.
Thank you.
Councilman Farina.
Thank you, Council President. One thing I forgot to ask. With a storm of this magnitude, do we have any laws in the books, and I think this is more to the clerk or even the administration, if anybody knows, if a private contractor gets hired to plow, say, a CVS, and they push all that snow into the street, which a lot of them Do we have any laws in the books to cite the companies that do that? Because driving around the city, we see a lot of mounds in companies and buildings. Instead of doing what we do, we're taking backhoes and loaders and pulling the snow out. They just made these piles in their parking lots, which make it near impossible to A, pull out, B, see around a corner, and C, drive effectively. So do we have any laws to kind of go and look at these businesses that have done that and basically go after them and find them and cite them and get them to take that snow away?
Councilman Farina.
Sorry, he's a good guy. You can call me him. He's better looking too.
There are laws and ordinances that cover vendors pushing snow out into the street, off private property. I think the difficulty that we find is actually catching them in the act. But to our department's credit, when they have seen it, they have acted on it, and they have made those people pull the snow away or, put it back to where it's supposed to be. As far as gigantic piles that are left behind, I mean, we can try to address that issue, but it's really difficult once those piles are there to, you've worked for CVS and the corporation, the store manager at that level can't or doesn't have the authority to call them back, and we get into that whole rigmarole. But certainly if there's an exceptional situation or an exceptionally dangerous situation, we will try to act on it. And to go back to Councilman Stichels, I know that the CVS, the Walgreens, and the Santander are a constant problem for you. We will follow up and make sure that those are addressed, because I agree with you. It's ridiculous. They're not the only ones. There's other businesses in the city that do the same thing and take advantage and don't clean properly.
Thank you. And I have one more. I know 2 years ago now, we had a storm that caused some outages in Ward 3 where we had a lot of talk in this body, the last council, about heavy equipment and size of trucks. And we started talking about, do we have enough? And we had a whole we actually talked about an hour and a half on the amount of plows, the size of plows. It still feels like we're short in the city. It still feels like we're a couple of heavy lifters, big body trucks, short to try to get the job done. We did a really good job, but could we do a better job if we had some more heavy equipment? I mean, how do we think we're looking from, and I know, Director Mason's not here, maybe as a follow-up to him, we could ask him for his wish list if there was one that he could put together to tell us, does he think he has enough plows? Does he think he has enough trucks? Because as we keep spending money on external plows, we could potentially buy a bigger plow or another group of plows.
Certainly, we can address that with Director Mason and see if we can put together a wish list, obviously within confines of our budget. We want to go for that 4th year of no tax increases, but also, just so you know, we're very fortunate to have John Corso as our highway supervisor, who, as some of you know, came out of the private sector in construction, and it's been through his contacts and his networking that we have been able to get some of the heavy equipment that has helped us get through these big storm. And I'll venture to say that there's all these other cities and towns that are jealous that we're able to access the equipment that we're able to access because of John Corso and
that's why I bring up the question, because I know Mr. Corso, and I know he does an excellent job for us. But eventually, Mr. Corso will move on or retire, or decide not to do that anymore. So my fear is that when he does go, we will be in the predicament that a lot of other cities and towns are, and we'll be behind the 8 ball. So
we certainly will work on that together with Director Mason.
Councilman Santa Maria.
Can I yield to Mr. Strom? I think he had something he wanted to, and then I'll take my turn.
Thank you, Councilman. Getting back to Councilman Farina, Ken Mason and myself are going to be sitting down to go over a capital budget, and part of the capital budget will be looking at equipment. As you know, I intend to go out for bonding this year. We didn't go out last year, so part of it will be, I can't tell you how many vehicles, but in the past budget, 2 years ago, we went for bonding. We brought in a sweeper, a backhoe, and some other heavier, I think 1 or 2 more dump trucks. So yeah. We are addressing that, and we will be looking at it, and I have to look to see what bonds we have that we're going to be retiring. We're looking at refinancing some 2005 2006, and that may free up a little bit more money to buy some vehicles.
Fantastic. I love when you're ahead of the game, Bob. It's great.
Another question,
I
Council?
just wanted to follow up on Minority Leader Vivekio's question on the trash. My recycling bin's already full. Where do we put the recycling? Can we put them in boxes, Carlos, or what do we do with the recycling? I don't have my old recycling bins because I brought them to the ice rink to recycle, so I don't have any more bin.
My recommendation is if you don't have your old recycle bins, try to put in a cardboard box that's recyclable, so that way they can just take the whole thing. And if worst case scenario comes to worst case scenario, just use a plastic bag.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Arquero?
Thank you, Council President Laney. Yes, I want to just follow up Minority Leader Favecchio and Vice President Santa Maria's questioning. It's one of my Ward 3 was hit by the storm, and because of that, there was no pickup, so it was delayed. And I guess the answer from the administration was that you're allowing the excess material to be bagged in plastic bags, correct?
That is correct.
We picked up. Do we realize that for all Patriots, it is Super Bowl Sunday, so Monday and Tuesday, there's going to be a lot of trash bags out there. Were we prepared for that?
Just so you're aware, I don't recall what day your ward gets picked up, but just remember, it's just the 2 days that were missed.
Right, which was Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Ward 3 is Tuesday morning.
Okay.
But I'm just saying with Super Bowl Sunday, there's going to be an excess of garbage, I would assume. And I know the Giants fans like Richard Vice President Santa Maria and Chairman Mike Sieber are upset, but our Patriots fans were looking forward to enjoy a great game, and I'm sure there's going to be an excess of aluminum cans and so forth. So I just want the administration to be prepared.
They'll be covered.
Okay, thank you.
May I remind the Majority Leader that the last 2 times the Patriots played the Giants in the Super Bowl, we all know what the outcome was, so maybe it's a good thing that they're not playing.
12 division championships, 6 Super Bowl appearances, 6 AFC championships, 3 Super Bowl wins, soon to be 4th. Best team in the history of football with the exception of the San Francisco 49ers. That's all I got to say.
And they still can't beat the Giants.
All right. Councilman Stichels, let's move on.
Carlos, could we go back to when the contractors plow into the street? What can we do about that? Because I did get a complaint that there's an apartment building, and the guy goes down the driveway and he takes the snow all the way across the street and he dumps it in the house at the corner of Betsy Williams Drive and Broad Street. And the guy says he's talked to the contractor and they still do the same thing. This is a private contractor, not a city.
Can you send me that particular information? Because that sounds like something that is a habitual offender.
Right.
And perhaps we can take a different approach.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Councilor Aceto.
Now, Mr. Council President, I know the calendar for February has already been set. I would just wonder if we could add one more trash meeting for the Wednesday after the council meeting, and then that way there we can draft the final ordinance and at the March committee meetings and at the March council meeting. So I don't know what the exact date is, Maria, but it would be the Wednesday after the February council meeting.
All right, check with the city clerk and whatever day's available.
Okay.
As long as we have enough time to notify the public.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else for council communications? I'm still on the council, so I'm going to say something else. Social media. It seems that the school, city, plowing lots situation has got out of hand, where parents are being told by school committee people that it's a city building, the schools, and it's the city's responsibility to plow the lots. It's all erroneous information. Unfortunately, people believe erroneous information. Social media, unlike the Providence Journal, doesn't always tell the truth. I think what we have to do And matter of fact, I'm going to ask Mr. Strom to do this. Can you put together a list of what the city of Cranston is responsible for plowing when it comes to school buildings? The names of the buildings and what the school department's responsible for plowing. That way, we all have a list to see exactly what our responsibilities are. And we don't have to base our decisions on what people say in social media. So that's my request. Any other council communications? Hearing none, let's move on. Old business.
I'm posting that on social media, Council President.
Is there any old business this evening? Introduction of new business.
Resolution authorizing the city to enter into a cooperative agreement with Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management on the Stillhouse Cove Boat Ramp launch, sponsored by Councilman Stichels, to be referred to Finance Committee for hearing on February 12th. Resolution in support of the legislation to allow the city to use income criteria in determining whether to grant property tax relief, sponsored by Councilman Stichels, to be referred for public hearing on February 12th in Finance. Proposed ordinance 1-15-01, an amendment of Chapter 17 of the Code of the City of Cranston, entitled Zoning, a change of zone for 950 Phoenix Avenue, petition filed by Delbonis Sand and Gravel Company and Blue Dog Capital Partners, to be referred for hearing before Ordinance Committee on March 12th. Proposed ordinance 1-15-02, an amendment of Chapter 17 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Zoning, a change of zone for 145 Warwick Avenue and 161 Park Avenue, petition filed by Park Avenue Associates and Cumberland Farms, to be referred for public hearing before ordinance on March 12th. Proposed ordinance 1-1503, an amendment of Title 10 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Traffic Regulations for Specific Streets, crosswalk on Pontiac Avenue at Hershey Road, sponsored by Councilman Botts, to be referred to Ordinance Committee for hearing on February 12th. Proposed ordinance 1-15-04, ordinance ratifying the school committee's collective bargaining agreement with Rhode Island Local 94, Cranston Public School Employees Local 204 for the school secretarial unit for the fiscal years 2014 through 2017, to be referred for public hearing to the Finance Committee on February 12th. Proposed ordinance 1-1505, an amendment of Chapter 12 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Sidewalk Reconstruction Cost Share Program, sponsored by Councilman Stichels, to be referred for public hearing before Finance on February 12th. Petition from National Grid and Verizon for a pole location at Petticonsket Avenue, to be referred to Public Works for hearing on February 2nd. The following claims are being introduced and referred to the Claims Committee for hearing on February 2nd. These are all property damage claims. Andrew and Stacy Levin from alleged incident on December 9th, 2014. Armino and Elizabeth Cabrita from alleged incident on December 9th, 2014. Robin and Lauren Cook from alleged incident on December 9th, 2014. Ruth and Louis Ferranzano from alleged incident on December 9th, 2014. Keith A. Kotler from alleged incident on December 9th, 2014. Michael Fantasia from alleged incident on December 1, 2014. Joseph H. Pearson from alleged incident on December 7th, 2014. Betsy Sacco from alleged incident on December 29th, 2014. Christina Infantolino from the alleged incident on December 27th, 2014. Amanda Bedoin from alleged incident on December 9th, 2014. Matthew Shaffron from alleged incident on December 9th, 2014. And E. Catherine Gardner from alleged incident on May 1, 2014. The following are personal injury claims, to be referred to the Claims Committee again for hearing on February 2nd. Michael Fantasia from alleged incident on December 1, 2014. Jennifer Fournier from alleged incident on October 8th, 2014. And Lucille Dodder from alleged incident on November 15th, 2014. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to
Refer all matters by the city clerk?
Second.
Motion made, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Miscellaneous business on the clerk's desk? None? All right. The next regular council meeting will be Monday, February the 23rd, 2015. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Well, 25th will be the other thing.
Aye.
Carlos.